Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, interesting story. I heard some people talk about it on YouTube. I heard some people not talk about it conveniently, but we're going to talk about Mr. Anthony Yarde because Anthony Yarde, 15-0, 14 KOs, prospect, but a prospect that's been looking damn good in this last couple fights. Obviously, against guys that are overmatched. And interesting stuff, very interesting stuff. Now, Anthony Yarde and his team was reported about 4 days ago. Anthony Yarde and his team reportedly turned down a IBF title shot with the very dangerous and very avoided Artur Beterbiev. I'll read you the quotes now. Here's what it said. Hold on. Yeah, so here's what Yar had to say in regards to turning the fight down. He said it's on IFL TV, so shout out to them for the quote. He said, I quote, "I want to be in a big fight, but everything takes timing. Yes, the offer did come through. My team was the fourth team to decline that fight. My team don't think I should be in a world title fight yet. I only had 12 amateur fights. There's a lot of domestic level fights that can happen. They don't feel like a world title like a world title shot is right yet." He then would go on. Let's see. Is there anything else? That's basically it. Honestly, I'll say this, man. I'll say this. Anthony Yarde is a guy that has been getting a lot of praise, and I praise him. He was, my prospect review video. I think the kid's talented. I think to be as big as he is, as athletic as he is, he's definitely got a lot of tools to work with. And we want to see him. We want to see him in there with the top guys, right? And my thing is, he's saying that he's only has 12 amateur fights. He's had 15 professional fights thus far. But at the same time, like, he hasn't had that first ever fight yet. And my thing is this: you're still young, and by this age right now, 27 years old is the time where fighters peak and when fighters are in their prime for the most part. Fighters are in their prime around this age. And my thing is, okay, if you're going to make a play in this light heavyweight division, which, by the way, is very stacked, if you don't fight Beterbiev, you're going to have to fight the likes of Joe Smith, Vazdik, you might get Kovalev. It don't matter really who you fight. At some point in time, you're going to run into someone who can fight really, really well. And he hasn't even stepped up to the Isaac Chilemba level yet, or the Shabransky level, or the Funfara level. Or the Marcus Brown level, or the Elliot Alvarez. There's so many names in that division. It's arguably the most stacked division in boxing at this moment in time. But my thing is this: you got 15 fights. You haven't had a lot of experience in terms of top level fighters. But my thing is, what better way to find out how good you really are by fighting a guy like Artur Beterbiev, and mind you, it's not like Artur Beterbiev has been the most active guy either. Beterbiev, because of him being so ducked and avoided by most of the division, he hasn't had a fight since November. He fought Enrico Colling once last year, and he fought before that. He had a damn near year layoff. So it's not like Beterbiev is this super active guy. And on top of that, you got to factor in Beterbiev is getting older. He's 33 years old. So my thing is, if he's not ready for a world title fight after 15 fights, and 3 guys turn the fight down, I mean, my take is that Anthony Yarde, and I'm just going off what I see. I'm not in the gym with him. There's a lot that I don't know. There's a lot you don't know, but just based on what he shows the world on Instagram, it don't look like, I don't want to say he doesn't train hard, because I'm sure he does, but it just seems like, what he's doing in the gym, the habits he has in the gym, they're not really being tested. And, if you lose a fight like, this is how I look at it. If you lose a fight to Artur Beterbiev, who is one of the top light heavyweights in the world, the kind of experience you're going to get from that kind of fight, you're not going to get anywhere else. And, even if you lose that fight, you can still challenge for other world titles. And the fact that you fought Artur Beterbiev, if you get blown out by the guy, it'll probably still get you more fights down the line, because people will look at you and say, man, this guy is beatable. So my thing is, I think personally with Anthony Yarde, and this is with all due respect to him, because he's a fighter that I do like, and I do think he has a future in the division. it just seems like the baby in him and coddling him, man. Like Anthony Yarde has 15 fights, and to be offered a world title shot with 15 fights, to have his level of athleticism, to have the youth on your side, to have the size on your side, to just have a lot of factors going in your favor. I'm not really a fan of it. I'm not really a fan of it. And I mean, I don't want to say that he's ducking because he's coming out and saying it's not me that turned on the fight, it's my team. But at the same time, it's like if a fighter really wants a fight, he can get the fights most of the time. And I don't know, man. It's just not, to me. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. But I mean, we'll see how it all plays out. He's got a fight scheduled on June 18th. Against an opponent to be announced later on. So we'll see if that opponent winds up being someone of note. I highly doubt it will be, because Frank Warren, and shouts out to Frank Warren. He's got a pretty good stable. Eddie Hearn's been talking a lot of trash about Frank Warren and how Frank Warren's not competition to Eddie Hearn, but Eddie Hearn better humble himself, man. Frank Warren has got some real good fighters, man. He's got the likes of Daniel Dubois, who has a chance to take over the heavyweight division. He's got that kind of talent later on. He's got Carl Frampton, who's still a quality fighter. He's got this kid in Yarde. He's got a lot of good fighters, man. And I don't think Frank Warren, at the same time, I'm looking at it too from Frank Warren's perspective, but like he's not just going to throw, probably after Daniel Dubois, he's not going to throw his most coveted fighter in the stable in a world title fight against, who many people believe. Some people believe Beterbiev is the best light heavyweight in the world. I don't think he really is. He hasn't had a chance to prove it against another top light heavyweight. But there's a large segment of boxing fans that think this man is the best in the world. And if you're Frank Warren, if you're his team, you might think it's too early. So I could see it, but for me, it's just like, okay, he's had 15 fights. Nobody else wanted to fight this guy. Why not be ambitious and try to take the fight, But I mean, that's what managers and promoters are for. They're there to guide your career. So if they feel like it's the best thing to do, then, fair play to them. But I would have taken it. I'm not gonna lie, I would have taken it. But because it's not because I think Beterbiev is a bad fighter. You gotta look at the circumstances. Beterbiev ain't been active. Beterbiev is getting old. Your guy is stronger. Your guy is younger. If you're training in the gym and you believe in the habits and what you're doing in the gym on a day-to-day basis, then you should have no problem putting him in there in a world title fight. I think 15 fights is a good amount of fights, but obviously with him not having the amateur experience and him kind of learning on the job, I could also understand it. But let me know what you guys think, man. Like, do you think Anthony Yarde is ducking Artur Beterbiev? I don't know, man. I feel like I have mixed feelings about it. I have mixed feelings about it because I actually think Yarde is good enough to compete with Beterbiev. I think he gave Beterbiev a good fight. But at the same time, a loss could really hurt him. But then I don't know. It's just like that whole attitude in boxing about, I might get a loss and I might do this and I might do that. I just kind of hate it. I hate the fact that a loss does so much, because losses don't define you, man. Like, if you get a loss, oh well. If you're really a good fighter, you overcome the loss and you make the adjustments and you get better from it. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's the news. Anthony Yarde and his team have turned down a IBF title shot with Artur Beterbiev. Apparently, he's like the fourth fighter to turn down a title shot with Artur Beterbiev. So we'll see what happens. If you don't fight Beterbiev, at some point he's gonna have to fight someone, because this division got too much damn talent and too many names for him to not fight a top level guy. So I mean, if not this guy, I'd like to see him. Ideally, what I like to see from Yarde would be, you take this little domestic fight against a to be announced opponent, get a nice win under your belt, and then after that, I want to see him fight someone like of a Joe Smith caliber. Step up, and let's see what you have in the division, and then from there you move on. That's what I like to see. And hopefully, if you're someone who's been following Yarde and his trajectory, he's fought a lot of guys who are tough journeymen who nobody stopped before, and he's been stopping them left and right. But hopefully, if you're a Yarde fan, you want to see him make that step up too. So we'll see what happens. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe. Like I say in every video, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.